Today I'm going to give you my thoughts on using the camera, what I like about it, what I don't like about it. Let's get into it. The main theme of why I love this camera so much, and I think why it's appealing to a lot of filmmakers, is the overall flexibility you get with it. I wear multiple hats with my content creation, so my main goal with a camera is portability without compromising quality. And just overall flexibility that allows me to get the shots I want the way I envision them. And the A7S3 is really a perfect tool for that, especially compared to the A7S2 and A7S Mark I. I got the A7S Mark I for Christmas, December 26th, 2015. I posted this photo on Instagram, new toy fire emoji. Nice. The A7S Mark II wasn't much of an upgrade in a lot of ways. That's where the A7S3 has really impressed me. You get flexibility. I think my favorite thing about this camera is the fact that you can shoot 4K and up to 120 frames a second. If it was 4K and up to 60, I would have actually been like probably fine, because most of the slow motion I shoot is 60. I love 120 frames a second, but I think it requires a certain type of movement, like a certain speed of movement rather. But having that option is amazing. The cherry on top is the fact that you can shoot 240 frames a second in 1080. When you're doing run and gun work, it's really important to be able to be flexible. Finding a good balance of working quick but being meticulous is important, but you know, you're not always gonna nail every shot in these types of environments. Like when you have a concert, you have an hour to capture everything, or 2 hours. Even same goes for like a real estate shoot, right? You gotta practice, you gotta get good at it, but the realtor might only allow you an hour in there and you have to capture the whole home. So you might mess up the framing of a shot or two. But being able to shoot in 4K has been huge for me for that reason. You know what, I'm gonna have some cold brew. What is time anyways, right? We've got 10-bit color. 10-bit color is something that offers a ton of flexibility. I had a bunch of banding issues with the A7S2, and really all 8-bit cameras do. So to get rid of that is huge. It just allows you to get creative with coloring, whether that's something where you're trying to tweak shadows and highlights, or something where you want to throw a really creative grade on something. And it's been super useful shooting S-Log3, because now you can actually shoot S-Log3 and manipulate the image and really get the most out of the dynamic range that the camera has to offer. For someone like me who isn't an expert in color correction, 10-bit color is a godsend. Also, I'll leave a link down in the description of this video where you can grab the Rec 709 Love to iUse, and that'll be free. So go ahead and download them if you have this camera, or if you shoot S-Log3 on another Sony camera, feel free to grab them. But yeah, 10-bit color has been huge. I don't shoot S-Log at night, but the 10-bit color does allow me to kind of manipulate any type of low light footage that I've shot. Those features have been the most important for me, and I think they're the biggest drawing points for everyone. And I can tell you, the footage out of this camera is insane. As if having 10-bit wasn't good enough, they improved the color science already. You get rid of these weird magenta hues and kind of green hues that the A7S2 and 1 were known for. You know, I think a lot of people, including myself, were gonna switch out of Sony, but these colors are great. I've said flexible. What's the flexible count at? Like 50? But you can be flexible, for real. And I think that's the best word. Battery life is super good. I only own one battery right now, actually. Since I got the camera in the past month, I haven't had to shoot over 3 hours, but the battery's improved by 90%. And that's an improvement that I really wanted them to make with this, and they made it, and it's been amazing. The build quality is awesome. It's still a super small and portable camera, and for me, the adjustment hasn't been anything at all, really. When I first got it in my hands, I was like, yes, this is it, this is great. Feels a lot like an A7R4. I haven't dropped or anything yet, knock on wood. It seems pretty sturdy, and it fits really nicely in your hand. The flip out screen has been more useful than I thought, but my one small complaint about it is the fact that it doesn't flip the same way as the A7S II. It doesn't stick to the back of your camera and flip up. Sometimes I want that screen centered, and it can't do that. Not the biggest deal, but I prefer to have the screen centered rather than a little off to the left. But I would rather have the flip out screen for sure, because it allows me to do things like this. I've actually scratched the back screen a few times on the A7S II, and I did the same on the Mark I. Having this screen actually be able to fold in the back of the camera is huge, because then you have to buy a screen protector, and you should always take care of your gear, but stuff happens. The autofocus capabilities are really outstanding, and I don't have a lot to compare to because I never used to use autofocus. I used to use Canon glass on a Sony camera body. And I kind of was like, oh, well, I won't need it, I won't use it. But once I saw the capabilities and used them for myself, it's definitely handy. It's obviously handy for photos, but I do a bunch of gimbal work, and so it's really nice to be able to track someone's face. I have a Sigma 24-70 lens on here. That's really the only lens I use with it. For real estate, I use a Laowa 12mm and I use manual focus. But the Sigma E-mount has been great. I'll link a Gerald Undone video down below. He compares the Sigma to the G Master and the Tamron as well, I think. They're all 24-70s, and he kind of goes through the autofocus comparisons. The Sigma was just about the same as the G Master. Definitely looking to get into Sigma. I really recommend it for a 24-70. It's about half the price of the G Master. Now, an issue I ran into with this camera is the files and how they work with my computer. So when I got this camera, I was using a MacBook Pro 2019. I'll just list the specs here so you can see them rather than me rambling about them. But long story short, I decided to upgrade to this 15-inch Razer Blade Advanced. And so far, I've absolutely loved it. I needed a new laptop anyways, but it definitely felt weird to spend more money on a laptop after I bought an already expensive camera. The graphics card on the MacBook Pro wasn't even really that sufficient for video editing in the first place. I think users need to be cognizant of how much power they'll need to use this camera and actually have Premiere run smooth. I have been using these Lexar SD cards. They're V60 cards, which means they're fast enough to support every file format except the intra formats. So intra recording takes up more storage space, but it's actually easier on your computer. So it's easier to edit, goes by smoother because the frames are basically blended together already. And this is a way to get the most out of the A7S3, but I have seen comparisons between intra and XAVCS, and XAVCS to me looks just about as good, if not the same, to the human eye. So I decided to go with these Lexar cards. I can shoot the codecs I want to shoot. So I always shoot an XAVCS. The intra cards are so expensive, so I figured I would rather use the money to get a faster computer, and I have a faster computer anyways. Not that it was the same exact price, but those intra cards will run you like, you know, if you want to get this amount of storage on them, clutch, really. Because these are about $35 a piece. I will link these below as well. But you know, maybe it's something where you don't have a computer that's quick enough. Low light on this thing, as expected, is a beast. Definitely have enjoyed the low light capabilities, and with better colors and 10-bit, it just wraps it all up into one complete package. It's an amazing tool. It has helped me progress my filmmaking in the month I've had it. I think it'll allow me to offer more to clients and do more creative work that kind of fulfills the visions in my head that I have. For the price, this camera is amazing. So if you have the money to go out and get this camera and you have a hunch that it'll fit your needs, I would say just pull the trigger and get it. I hope this provided some insight to you if you're in the market for this camera. Let me know down in the comments if you've tried this camera, if you plan on getting it. If you guys haven't already, definitely consider subscribing to the channel. And if you enjoyed this video today, definitely leave a like because that helps the channel grow as well. All right guys, till next time.